Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, DOD's Deferred Resignation program will be offered April 7th through the 14th. And a bipartisan bill to foster public-private partnerships for NIST is reintroduced in Congress. It's Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive into the day's top headlines. More details have emerged on the Department of Defense's Deferred Resignation program. According to a new memo, the DOD will offer the program to eligible DOD civilian employees for a week between April 7th and the 14th. Voluntary Early Retirement Authority will also be offered during that time period. The initiatives ordered by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth come as the Pentagon is looking to reduce its civilian workforce and implement the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency efforts. Jules Hurst III, acting Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, wrote in an April 1st memo that the DRP provides, quote, a generous opportunity for employees to enter a paid leave status for several months prior to resigning or retiring, adding that employees pending approval or approved for the program will not be subject to return to in-person work requirements. While exemptions should be rare, principal staff assistants and DOD component heads may exempt mission-critical positions from the offerings and deny workers' request to participate. Employees approved for either initiative will have to leave federal service by September 30th, which is the end of the fiscal year. In other news, a bipartisan bill that would establish a nonprofit foundation aimed at boosting private sector partnerships at the National Institute of Standards and Technology was reintroduced in the House and the Senate on Tuesday. The Expanding Partnerships for Innovation and Competitiveness Act, or EPIC Act, would create a foundation for standards and metrology at the Department of Commerce, which would be focused on fostering collaborations with academia, industry, and other organizations. That new foundation would ultimately help supplement NIST's funding and, according to a release shared with FedScoop in advance of the Wednesday announcement, make the path to commercializing technologies developed by the agency easier. Representative Haley Stevens, a Democrat of Michigan and co-sponsor of the House bill, said, quote, now more than ever, our federal science agencies need every tool to drive U.S. technology leadership. And the reintroduction of the EPIC Act ensures that NIST, a vital agency in emerging technology, standards, and manufacturing, has the resources to secure American leadership in the mid-21st century. In addition to Stevens, the reintroduced House bill is sponsored by Representative Jay Obernolte, a Republican of California, and the Senate version is sponsored by Senators Chris Coon, a Democrat from Delaware, Todd Young, Republican of Indiana, John Hickenlooper, Democrat of Colorado, and Deb Fischer, Republican of Nebraska. While the legislation ultimately didn't pass last Congress, it had the backing of 4 former NIST directors and multiple organizations, in addition to widespread buy-in on the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, and it advanced out of that committee in June via a voice vote. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. The Daily Scoop podcast is available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with brand new episodes. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.